Hello everybody. We're gonna start our event now. Good evening everybody. How are we all feeling today? Good. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, so today our topic will be about Firebases. So does anyone know what Firebase is? No? It's okay, I don't either. So today our hosts will be Wilson and Shivan here. There will be explaining what Firebases are and like what are the use cases for Firebases and how are we going to actually apply it. So we'll go through them step by step as well. So don't worry if you are completely new to this. Yeah. So yeah, you may begin.
Hello everyone. My name is Wilson and I'm from Tech Team, and this is Shivan. He'll be hosting this study jam with me today, even though there's not much participant today, but it's fine. So I just wonder if anyone have heard of Firebase before or used Firebase before here? Is there anyone? Okay, that's nice. Then I think maybe it's not really useful for you all because today what we're going to do is give a brief introduction to Google Firebase. So the very first thing, I'm still going to do it in case anyone someone who don't know what is Firebase. Basically, you can think of it as a platform that will actually provide backend service and also tools, just like real-time database, authentication, cloud storage, hosting, analytics stuff. Basically, everything about backend that you need, you would actually find it on this platform without implementing yourself. So yeah, in short, it's just a platform Google provide for you to speed up your development. Yeah, next slide. So to be very, I mean, it's a backend as a service, but just like what I say, it's actually a platform designed for web and mobile apps. And also it first released in 2011, but at first it's not by Google, it's actually by Firebase Inc. itself. And then Google bought it like 3 years after it. So actually originally it's not developed by Google and it's not meant to have Google service. But afterwards, when they brought in, they add up some Google Cloud thing and also a lot of things that Google tried to make it become something that related to Google. So this is the brief introduction of Firebase. And then next slide. So the next thing is why are you going to use Firebase? Just like what I said, you can actually do a rapid prototype with Firebase because it actually provides you all the modules that you would need to use. You just import it, use it right on the spot, so that whenever you have to, when you want to attend hackathon, when you want to do some very fast prototyping for your pitching, you can actually use this as your backend service for the authentication part and also database part, so that it can actually speed up your application development. Maybe in you can do it in maybe 2 or 3 days. So it provides you a rapid prototyping, and also built-in analytics. You can actually see the visitors and how it goes, how people access with your website or your app, and also have the seamless integration with the Google Cloud and also tools, which everyone would have, like Gmail, Cloud, those kind of stuff. And also it provides you the cross-platform software development kits like Android and iOS, which is very good. You can also pair it with Flutter and stuff. So yeah. And the next thing about it is, let's take a look on what Firebase actually offers. So Firebase is actually really, really large. It's a platform just like what I said. So it has a lot of stuff inside it. So first you have authentication, file store for database, which is a non-SQL database, and also some cloud function, hosting. And for monitor, just like I say here, you have performance monitoring, app distribution. And when you do the engage, we have Google Analytics and also some testing. And from today, what we're going to do, because of the time constraint, we will only do authentication, database, and also Google Analytics. So for those who already used or heard of Firebase, maybe this is something they already know, but nevertheless, we'll still look into it. So this is what Firebase offers. And so we can jump into the very first part of the authentication. So for authentication, I think everyone know already, whenever you have an app, have a system, you need to have authentication system to provide some sort of authenticate the user, whether it's legit user of your system. But the good thing is you don't need to build your own login system. So there are a lot of company outside who actually build their own login system from scratch, like everything they need to build from home. But with the Firebase authentication, you can just grab, you can just use. And it's also encrypted and it's a very easy to use. Just do it from a Firebase console, which is on the website. So this is one of the good things. Next. So for the database is actually also quite easy to use. It's a NoSQL database and it stores everything in JSON and also store in the key value pairs. So just like this is an example like how it can store in the database. Also simple, faster. Don't need to configure much. You can just straight use it for your app. Next. And the last thing we're going to talk about today, which we will demonstrate later, is an analytics bot, which we can directly see it from the console. So fast, it's very easy to use. Also, I can debug a performance issue. You can track your user behavior. So I think that's a brief introduction to Firebase already. And then we can head to the next slide for the thing that we're going to do today. So today, what we're going to do, we're going to have a really small prototype, which is a blog app demo. So this is a application where you can post your blog, you can create a post, you can have like a basic user authentication. It's a small prototype that to let you start out, like kickstart your use of your Firebase. You can start it from there and implement more things that you want to implement. So what you're going to have inside here is like, first we're going to have authentication. We're going to have like Firestore and also the analytic parts. And then what we're going to use for this particular project, for backend, definitely we're going to use Firebase stuff. And for frontend, we'll use React framework in case, I think you all know. And then just vanilla JavaScript and also HTML, CSS. And I assume like every one of you really have like VS Code installed and also have basic knowledge about all this programming language, right? I take that assumption. So if you don't know, it's fine, you can ask question. And yeah, and I think we can just straight jump into the very first setup. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna guide you through the Firebase setup first, like going to the website to guide you to set up first in case some of you they haven't touched Firebase before. So yeah, jump to the next slide, I think. Yeah, this is the screenshot that the application we're going to be. It's a very simple one. You can see it's a very super simple, okay? So you may have like header, footer, and also your post, and also have a tag there to indicate your user, have a home and login button, and also a simple login page with Google account. And at the end, you have a create post page where you can create your container. Just like that. And yeah, that's the thing we're going to do today. Very simple one. Let's start to build something now. So I would need you all to scan this QR code or access to this link to download the base code of this project so that we can start to build from there. Yeah, I think you guys need to scan it now and yeah, get to the code base. I'll give like maybe 2 minutes. Because without this, we cannot proceed. And after you get this, you just unzip, open it with your VS Code, and we can start from there. Okay. Since there are not much people, I think we will try to like make sure everyone catch up, make sure everyone have the thing downloaded. Just a small question, like, do you all have Node.js installed in your laptop already? Did anyone don't have Node.js installed? Anyone? No? Everyone have Node.js? No. Okay, I will get it. I will get it. I will get it installed. Ensure everyone have Node. So you guys have the code downloaded, and then let me try to do the setup with you all together. So the very first thing you will need to do is definitely open the code with your. Sorry.
You should wait. He's still downloading.
Oh, still downloading. Oh, my bad. Okay. I can take time to download your VS Code. It's fine. Yeah, show the calculator. Wait a minute. If you scan the QR on the yeah, let's get on it. No, that's not. You can Okay, I will just do the setup now, regardless of if you haven't downloaded, then you can try to catch up later. So the first thing you need to double check whether you have Node.js installed. If you don't have, you can go search Node.js in Google. Just go here, download from here, the LTS, like the recommended version, and then wait until it's done. After it's done, you just run, and then just all the way click until you're done. Just install. Yep. So if you're using Mac, you can actually just type in your console with brew install node. I think that will work as well. But since I'm using Windows, I will just demonstrate Windows one. So after you downloaded, you can just head to your VS Code, open your terminal. I mean, here and where. Open the terminal and then you click node-v to check whether you have the node downloaded. So yeah, when it comes out the version, which means you already successfully downloaded the node. And also you need to check whether you have npm installed as well. Yep. So after this tool is done, could you guys catch up? Like, yeah, guys just follow lah, download and then just run the MSI. And then after you can check, actually what you need to do next is you type npm install Firebase. So this will actually install all the Firebase related dependency that we would need to use on the project later on. Okay, it will take some time lah. So after you download, you just double check whether you have downloaded, and then when you see your directory have the net modules, which mean it should be good already. Okay, it's running. If anyone cannot catch up, please let us know, and maybe Shivan will come and help you. Yeah. Okay, so once it's done, you would need to also install React Router DOM for save. Yeah. Very fast.
Yeah.
I think that table everyone's done already.
No, they haven't done.
Oh, you can, could you double check with them whether they can? Is it fine? It's continue.
Big data is a period for huge data. Also, huge data is a period. Make sure to be started to solve the problem. Yeah, a period like everything is like this, and then you have don't worry about it. Oh yeah, then I got obviously it's something. Because parallel force, parallel so like instead of one looking at it, also it doesn't actually curious. No, it's yeah, you do this quick thought that I don't think I can remember the first thought obviously whatever I said here.
Okay, it took a bit time, but it's fine. And for save, if we're gonna run every time, I would always do this npm install again in case there's something missed out for the dependency. It will double check it again. So okay, up to date. And then the next thing would be, could you open your? It's gone. Sorry. Oh, this is Touch ID. Okay. Okay, after then, we can go to search Firebase, which is the particular website we're gonna access. So this is your console. So for every time when you come in, you will actually just press get started here. And then just wait a bit. Yeah. So at the very first time, if you access to this Firebase, it will actually prompt you to here. And then you will just click this, get started with a Firebase project. And then you would need to name your first project. For this, we would just say it's a blog app something. It doesn't matter, but you just put blog app, and then you will need to click accept, confirm, blah blah blah, and also click continue. Okay, so for this, it doesn't matter whether you need to enable Gemini or not, but from here, I think we just click continue. And then for the Google Analytics part, because we are using it, so we actually need to enable it. And then we click continue. And then for the analytics location, I would recommend you just put Hi, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Let me minimize this. I recommend you just put Singapore. It's better. So you just accept, create a project, and then it will take a while. Sometimes some dependency like there are no big container, but it will tend to download it. Later we see if you want to check. I think it will be the same one later. After we want to try the first application first. But right now we set up a Firebase. This doesn't matter how we can say okay, so once your Firebase project is ready, you can just click the continue. And then it will actually take you to your own console. But if you have enabled Gemini will actually be here. But for this time, we are not using it, so you can just close it. And then from here, you will actually see your console and with everything ready for you to use here. And then the next thing, you will just click this particular settings icon. Click it, click the project settings, so that we can actually set up something that we need to use. When you come to the project settings, make sure you are at the general here, and then you scroll all the way down. You will notice there is a particular button here next to the Android robot. This, you can click it, and then you need to add your Firebase. So this thing is to add the Firebase to your own particular app by taking the API key and everything. So you need to put your nickname. For this, same, I will just put blog app, because doesn't matter, like, yeah, I mean, the name is just a nickname. And for this time, we are not doing Firebase hosting, so you don't need to set up Firebase hosting here. And then you can just straight click register app. And then it might take some time, I think maybe 1 minute. Oh, it's better. Okay, so for the next thing, you would actually have this particular code. And this is the next thing that you need to put in your particular project. So for now, we copied it, and then we hit back to VS Code. At your VS Code as the particular source directory here, you create file, and then you create Firebase. Wait, let me type. Firebase config.js. You can actually add one particular file, which name firebase-config.js, and then just paste all the code that you just copy into it, save it. So this is actually everything about the Firebase API key. You can see this particular API key is related to your own Firebase account, and you also have like own domain, your project ID, which you just set up, and also have app ID, measurement ID. But you will see all this, maybe some of it later on, but some of it is not relevant now. And it's just a config file for initialize all the Firebase stuff. And then you would also like to go back to the Firebase. So after the Firebase here, you will need to click continue to the console. And then you come to here. So afterwards, you would need to go to the build. I think makes you better. Okay, log app. Okay. So from here, let me see my flow. Authentication. Okay, so after you have done that, when you come back to your project overview, you will actually see there are tons of the module you can use, like authentication, Firestore, storage, hosting, these kind of things. And the first thing we need to do is authentication. So you click on the authentication, and then it will bring you here. You just click get started here. Also take a while. So from here, you're trying to set up your authentication, and then you can actually select different method for authentication. Can be email, password, can be phone, anonymous, and even Facebook account, those kind of stuff. But for this time, we would use Google. So you would just click Google, and then you would just click enable. For enable, after you click enable, it will just prompt you here, and then ask you for support email, where you can just put your email. I will just prompt you. It's the same email as your Google account, and then just click save. Wait for a bit. So after this particular progress, you actually have your authentication added to your own Firebase project already. And then, am I going too fast? Is it okay? Okay, then I'll just proceed if it's okay. Yeah, proceed. Will it be too fast? No. Okay. Okay, so for the next thing, this is after this point, you have already done your authentication. So the next thing you would want to do is actually your database. So what you would do, every time you just go back to your main console menu, you can just come to here, and then you would just scroll to find the Cloud Firestore. So Cloud Firestore is actually your database. it's just called Club Firestore. So in the sense of Firebase, it is actually your database one. So you just click on it. Wait, and wait. And it's the same. You will just click create database here. You just click. And then it will come to here, same, you will need to choose your location. And if I'm not wrong, there are no Malaysia available. Don't ask me why. Maybe Google haters. You can use Singapore. Singapore is better. There's Singapore. Singapore gone already. Let me locate. Ah, man, it's gone. Oh, Singapore is here. Okay, so I would recommend you all to select Singapore because it's better to have a closer location of the database. And then you just click next. Okay, so from here, you can just leave it here, start in production mode. Don't click the start in test mode. It will create another thing. And then you just click create. And then it will also take a minute. And wait. So after it done, you will actually have your Firestore done or set up already. And then the next thing you would want to do for this particular project, you head to the rules here. And then you could see there's a line 6 here, allow read, write if false. So for this particular project, for convenience and for faster development, for showcase, we just put it as true. So the downside, if you put true here, would actually cause some security issue because if you put true, like everyone would actually can access to the database and get your data. But since it's just a demo, it doesn't matter. But in the future, if you want to do, you cannot put this. You might need to add some condition to decide whether it's true or not. Okay. So, but for showcase here, we will just put true. And then for the next thing we will not want to do is go back to our VS Code. In our Firebase config.js here, you will need to import what you have added, the authentication and also the Firestore. So the thing that you would need to import, I think my co-pilot will help me. Yeah. So it's just very fast. You just import get Firestore from Firebase / Firestore. This is what you would need to import for your Firestore, which is your database. And for your authentication part, you need to import. Let me type get off from. So for the authentication part, you will need to import get auth. And also since you're using Google for this time, you will also need to import Google auth provider as well. But if in case you are using like Microsoft or other credentials, you will need to import different stuff here. So ensure you have imported the Firestore and also the auth provider here. Afterwards, you would need to do export. So from here, we need to click export. So the first, you will need to export your DB, which is your Firestore. You also need to export your auth, which is the thing that we just added. And you also need to export your provider. Scroll a bit. Okay. I think I just like this. Yeah, so until this point, you will actually finish up the setup for Firebase already. Make sure you have your Firestore, your get auth, Google Auth provider imported, and also make sure you export all of them. So until this point, you should be good. You can just check my config file to see whether you have everything there. Okay, so until this point, you have actually properly configured your Firebase already, which you already have imported, exported. And at this point, you can actually start your application already. So hold up your terminal again. For this time, you would need to click npm. Just kill my terminal first. Okay. So in your terminal, you would like to click npm run start. So when you run this particular command, it will actually open up the application for you, which it will lead you to the app itself. I need to wait. Yeah. So if you are able to come to here, which means you have already set up your Firebase correctly already until this point. Now we'll come and help to make sure everyone can come to this page. Yeah.
He has an MPM, but he doesn't have any stuff. It just like the floor, thing out of My PC only 16. Open that. Oh man, I am sure. You know, I know. Because you can find just like you see so your NPC is a few minutes. Oh. Why do you want to usually looking over and stuff. Oh, I know. I can do it's actually run slide.
Yes, that's all. The package essentially, so it actually manage all your package, all your library, and sometimes it will help you to download 1 GB.
Wow.
You can actually check your modules that you download. I think right now it's 600 megabytes.
I will begin to work with
Time and space.
but the problem is apparently if you code and reverse engineer, it will cut it. So even though I already do the coding already, you need to start with the first part. But I can explain what I have done for now. But it's not working now. I just created all classes that I want and how it works, how it should work, based on all the modular blah blah blah, all GPT generated. I never put anything. But I haven't touched on the JavaScript part. I just creating the classes and creating skeletons.
I need to go my best.
No worry. Still got time, don't is what 3 o'clock. 2 to 4.
Actually, there's another way to get it works.
You said you're not
Doing something. Just use your
Isn't that like under Oh.
Let me see the.
Oh wow, there's nothing shown there.
And go back maybe 2 years Take some 10 years your company is still young, you get that.
I don't know.
I think you should just wait for something. And I help them. I just help them. Okay, so now I will pass the mic to Shivan, and then he will hand over the rest of the study jam. He will explain each file of it, and at the same time, I will just help you guys to debug if you guys cannot run the npm.
Just want to move forward. Why? I still do learn.
Most of the website is
Okay guys, now I'll explain you guys more on the blog app that we are going to build. So our blog app will have 3 main pages. So if you open your SRC folder and then go through the pages subfolder, you will see that there are 3 main pages. We have create post, home, and login.js. Okay, and we also have another file, app.js. Now app.js is going to be our main file. So think of this as the main wrapper for the whole app. So app.js will entitle everything inside this application. Now, as the name suggests, the login page is where we will authenticate the user. Create post is where we'll use the Firestore database. And home is just to display the posts that we'll create later on. So before I start, if we go to the app.js file, and if you scroll down completely, you will see that it's returning a HTML file, HTML style file. So basically what app.js is returning is like an HTML on what to render in the app. So if we go back over here, you can see that there is routes, and then there is routes over here, and then on top we have navigation. Okay, so okay, so does anyone know the difference between navigation and the routes function? Okay, I guess no. So the navigation function is just for us to create clickable links, while the routes function will be for to render the pages that we are going to create. So if we go down, you'll see that there is route and then dash. And then there is another one, route dot dash create post dash login. So what this basically does is if you go to your web app, and then on top, if you press slash login, this will take you to the login page. So what routes is doing is whenever we have a URL, it's going to render that page. While navigation on top over here, the nav functions over here, if you can see, these ones just create clickable links so that when you press a button over here, you see the home button and the login button. The navigation function doesn't render anything. It just moves you to that file. Okay, now, does anyone want a more in-depth demonstration on how to do routes and demo? Okay, yes or no? Okay, then if it's a yes. So just follow along with me. In the SRC folder, under the pages, create a new file and just name this demo.js. Right now, inside the demo.js, just write import React from React. And then function demo. Sorry. And then we are going to return. So basically what this thing is doing is that when we will call this demo page, it will just display demo with no links, nothing, just a small text demo. Okay. So at the end, we need to export this. So we'll write export. Demo. Okay, now how do we use this page? Okay, so if you go to your app.js, remember we created this page already. Now we need to import it in our app.js. Remember, app.js is our main app folder, app file. So on the top, we'll just type something like this. right? And now we will just copy another file. Okay, so what this line is doing is basically we are going to import the demo function, which is coming from the demo file demo.js, right? And then we are going to render that. The routes function renders that. So if we press save, it should compile. And then if you go back, and now if you change this URL to demo, right, we will see a small text demo. So this is what routes does. It renders a page for you. So this is what we are going to do with the rest of the 3 pages. We are going to render the home, the login, and the create post page. Okay, so now if you scroll back to the top, you will see that we are importing auth from the Firebase config file that you created with Will. Now, what is this auth? This auth is basically all the authentication services related to the app that Firebase just gave you. Now, if we scroll down over here, we are going to create a use state. Now, a use state in React is a variable that you can pass in a function and it can change over time throughout the app. So for us, we are going to create a variable called isAuth. And what isAuth is basically, is the user signed in or not? Okay. And the setAuth is a function. So this one is a variable, the first one, and the second one is a function. So if later on in the code, we want to change the value of isAuth, we just need to call this function setAuth and then just passing through. So somewhere like this, setAuth, and then this is the sign out function. That's why we have passed in set isAuth false. So initially we are going to set isAuth as false. Okay, now let's implement the authentication function. So in the login on top, you see we are also importing auth because we want to use authentication things. And we are importing provider. Now, if you remember, if you go to your Firebase config file, you see we are setting provider as Google authentication provider. So we are importing Google's authentication services as provider, and then we are going to use it in the login page. So similarly to what app.js returns, the login page also returns a HTML. So when the routes function is called with this, it returns this HTML. And this HTML is nothing but just the login page over here. Okay, so now let's see where Firebase really helps us. So in the sign in with Google function, we are going to set loading is true. This is another use state. And then sign in with pop-up. Now, where do we get this sign in with pop-up? It's from the Firebase auth file. So this is a function that they give already. And we are going to, inside this sign in with pop-up, we are going to pass in the auth, which is Firebase services. And we are going to pass in the provider, which is Google for us. Now, the dot then result is that if the sign in with pop-up is successful, then we are gonna set is auth equal to true. And once set auth equals is true, that means the user is already logged in. So they don't need to be on the login page, right? So we move them to the home page. And remember, we set home page as just a /. So let's just demonstrate that. If you sign in with Google and choose Monash Tech Team or your own email, and then click continue, you should be able to create a post now. And the login button is changed to logout. Right now, over here, we have a problem because use state, usually when you refresh your app, use state variables return to its initial values. So if we go back to VS Code and we set use state equals to false. So initially use state is false, but we signed in right now, so is auth becomes true. But now I want you to go ahead and press Control R, and that would refresh the page. Now, once you refresh the page, you'll see you got logged out, and that's something we don't want. We don't want when the users just press refresh for them to just log out. So we need to fix this. So let's go back to our VS Code. And below this set is auth, we're gonna write a line, local storage dot set item, and then set is auth true. Now, once this is done, we go back to our app.js. And remember, initially we put use state equals to false. So every time the user refreshes the app, the use state for is auth becomes false. That's why we are already logged out. So to change this, let's change what use state initializes with, and we'll just write local storage. And before we wrote get item, right? So now we'll set don't need this. Okay, so you just need to remember in the login page, we set item is auth true. So over here, we just need to get item. And now once we go back, if you hit Control R now, it won't log you out directly. Now, lastly, we have the sign out function over here. So what sign out does is basically clears out whatever is auth variable that we put, because we don't want the user getting logged in even after they have logged out.
Need to catch up what you have coded now, what you have added now.
I mean, I just added this line. That's it.
Could you go and help you check the line that you added?
Yeah.
Can just take it.
Okay, since we are running out of time, I'll just go through creating a post first. Okay, so at first line, we are importing collections and add doc function. So if you go back to your Chrome and then go back to your Firebase and you go to data, you'll see that there is a start collection, right? You want to add
And you can add a command, like a command stating that this one is like added line like that. You know what I mean?
Okay, so now we will try to add like a post actually in that Firestore database, okay? So collection is just a collection of different documents, and in each document we are going to store one post. So one document could be by me and it says my first post, and then another document could be Will's and it could be Will's post. So we will go and see that first. So since we are going to have a title and a post box. So we are going to have two constants, and we are going to have same use state, title and set title. Now remember, just like the is auth, this title is a variable and this set title is a function. This function can be later called and pass in the text of the title that you want to update. Similar for post text, we have the variable and we have the function. Now, if you look at this line, we are creating a reference to the Firestore database, and we are saying that look at the DB. Now, where does the DB come from? If you go back to the Firebase config, remember we exported our database as DB. So if you go back over here, the collection function just references it to the Firestore database. So we have DB, and then inside DB, we are creating a post collection. Inside this post collection, we'll have all the posts that are going to be in the application. Now the create post function is very simple. We have if the title is empty, then return an error, right? Otherwise, use the add doc function which Firebase offers, and then put this this collection inside our database, which we have referenced over here on top, right? And then we are going to pass in the title, the post text, author, ID, and create an ad, so a date. Now, if it's successful, then it will just add the document. Now, how are we passing in information to this? Remember, I told you React.js returns an HTML file for the routes, right? So if you see the title placeholder, you see we have a function called onChange. So whenever the user types in something over here, it directly gets converted into text, because remember, we created this title and function, right? So if you scroll down back, we have set title. Remember, I told you this is a function and this one is the variable. So over here, set title, whenever there is a change in the text box, it directly captures the change and puts it inside this function. And this function changes it into this variable. Right? So let's quickly create a first my and we're going to submit the post. And you can see my first post, hi. Okay. Now, if you can see over here, we don't have the author's name. So we want to do that. So let's quickly add the author's name. So over here, if you scroll back up, we are waiting for add doc, and then we are passing in ID only. So let's also add the username. Okay, let's save that. And then let's go back to our home.js. And at the end, let's return h3 tag. Currently, we don't have a text for the user, so we are just going to create that. Oh, can you open the document, man? So I can just copy and paste.
Which document?
Can you tell us quickly, please?
Class name. Okay. Oops, not that. Oh, I know why. I think you put it wrong. You need to put it inside the history. History tag here. You need to put it like that. And then you can only add it here. No, just pretty sure. Post.
Okay, so now we have added the text, but this won't work. It will throw you an error because before we didn't add this. So you want to go back. Oh, why do you have so many tabs? You want to go back to your Firebase app and then just hit Control refresh. Okay, so you see we have posts and we have one document that I just created, which was my first post and hi. Now over here, you see we don't have inside the author, we don't have the author's name, but our code has already changed. So let's just delete this first. So delete the whole document. Now we can go back to React. Create a post, put hi, something. Just for demonstration. And you see now we have the author's name as well. Now, one problem we have over here is that anyone who is signed in can delete anyone's post, which is not ideal. So we need to change that as well. So let's go back to home.js. And you see over here, we are deleting the post. But over here, it says that if is auth, then you can delete the button. So let's change it so that the delete button is only available to the user who is logged in. So let's do that. So we're gonna do post dot author. Okay, now we have changed it so that the trash can icon over here will only appear if the user which is logged in that has actually created that post. So what this is doing from post, this is coming from our database. Post author.id equals to current author ID. So now if you have two email accounts, you can sign in with the other one and you won't be able to delete what another person created. Wanted to show you that how you can put like because they use stay on top, right? Every time you do control refresh, all the memory of the app goes away. It starts from the beginning. So at the beginning we had like is on by default was set as on. So we changed it so that it saves the variable inside your computer. So once you let's say log in, you say that in your local storage inside your computer, you say that this all is true. And then the next time we control refresh, instead of starting with false, we will start with whatever is inside your computer. We'll save that. And then it is called the sign out function, right? There will be like local storage here. That means that because we are signing out, so we don't want to just sign back again without even putting our password. So we do have that storage so that it not becomes Okay, two last things that I want to show you guys. If you go back to the app, our app, and log out, right? Now, if you go to the URL and go to the create post URL, you see you are able to go to the create post page, although you aren't logged in. So we need to stop users from doing that. So how do we do that? We go back to the create post page, and then if you scroll down, you see there is a use effect. Now, what is a use effect? In React, a use effect is continuously running and doing things that you ask it to do. So over here, we are basically asking the use effect if author is not, if the user is not signed in, then currently we are doing void 0. Void 0 is basically saying like do nothing, but let's change that. So instead of having that, let's write navigate to login. Now, if we go back to our app and try to go to create post again, you see, it will still be at the login page. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is real-time update. Instead of us refreshing, we are using snapshot. So if you go back to your home page, we see we have a function over here, use effect on snapshot. So what on snapshot does is continuously listen to our database. And remember, we created a reference to our database over here, post collection ref. So on snapshot, we are listening continuously on the database. So if any changes, it will automatically update it. Will. I don't know why am I getting this error.
think
It's this line, but I don't know if I typed it correctly. Can you check is all? It's not. I don't know what your laptop is doing. Should be a triple actually.
yeah, just oh no way. Hmm. Hmm.
Oh wait.
What's wrong?
No, 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 don't do that. You change the code or what?
Oh, impossible. I changed the code.
Okay, for it to work, I think there's a error in the code. On the top of the file, you need to also import auth. That's why we were getting an error before, but it should work now. Okay, so I'll show you the last thing, which is real-time update. So I'll just create a post quickly. Oh, your keyboard sucks.
Keyboard's bigger than yours.
Okay, if we go back to our Firestore database and we just click delete over here. Right, because we are using on snapshot, which is continuously listening to our Firebase database. You see, it without us even needing to refresh it, it directly just removed the post that we just deleted from the Firestore database. But this as a more practical context, that let's say you are on an app and someone else created a post and they deleted it. Now let's say you have multiple posts and multiple people are deleting it. You know you have the recent version without you having to refresh it all the time. I think that's it. Now I'll pass it on to Will.
Okay, so after this part, I think we also need to show a bit of Google Analytics. It should be very fast. So you can go back to your Firebase console. Basically, you just click Analytics here, click your dashboard. And then here it is for the Google Firebase Analytics. From here, you can actually see all the data relevant to your site, like what's the active user in the last 30 minutes, and also some insights for it. But since we just made it up, like there are no active data available. So this is just a showcase for you to know what you can expect from the Google Analytics here. And then you have basically everything here. You can even edit it, add something that you're interested. And also you can share it out, share the report out by downloading a file. So, but in short, it's just for you to overview like some statistics from your users, and you can edit it if you want. But right now we are not doing anything. And then we would hit to the very last part of today's session, which is our, oh my God, wait, where is my presentation? Yeah. So the last part of today would be quiz. Would be a quiz, and then this particular quiz we would actually have prize. Okay, the GDG merge, and for the first place of the winner. Okay, it's a Kahoot, and then I'll share the pin now. Give me a second. Let me host this.
I believe that.
Sorry?
But I believe.
Then you get a merge lah.
Why don't we join this?
Okay. Okay, so from the screen, you can actually wait, it's loading again. Yeah, so you can scan the QR or you can join Kahoot via the game pin there, and then you can play. You have fun questions, you have good questions. Okay, you can claim it. If I think you can use your nickname. Later just show us, doesn't matter. Everyone can join just for fun. And after this, we can have our dinner. Yeah. Yeah, Kahoot. Yeah. Sure. Like wait, everyone. Can. From what? Is there something you can help him? So I guess I can start. I start, Okay, let's start. We have 10 people fight for this quiz, and let's start. Okay. It's a fun one. You need to be fast now.
Along my knee. I pressed the
I knew someone's gonna press something wrong. You can click finish and first also. Okay. Nice. Okay. I don't know who's Anak Hari, but okay. I'm gonna move this here. Okay, what's Firebase primarily used for? It should be easy lah. This one should be easy lah.
Oh,
The green one?
I was supposed to think the one.
It's fine. Okay, N is leading right now. I'm not sure who is N, but congrats. Okay, next question. Double points. Okay, this one should be okay. We have time, I think. I should put 10 seconds.
I don't know that. I just keep on. Very confident I was. It's N.
I don't know who's N, but it's leading.
It's gonna be me lah.
It's founded by Google.
Oh, it's not for them. It's a call.
It should be false because it should be founded by Firebase Inc.
Oh, I got a lot very stuff.
Oh, N is still leading. Nice.
Oh, it's N.
I don't know. Okay. This one. Yeah, I can think of.
Because now it's false. So now it's false. I don't know exactly what it was.
It's false. Wait, what? N still hold. Okay, N still hold up. Okay.
Oh, because you got double point.
Okay, you need to read this. After initialize, how many projects you can use?
Just leaving and
Okay. It should be multiple. Should be multiple.
Oh,
Okay, it's very close. Zach, come on. Still a few questions go. Okay, which one is not supported? Should be very easy. Wow, your people select phone number. Dang. Okay. Phone number is supported. And still there. Dang. Who is N? Okay, so that what format? I think this one should be easy. You already give some. Yeah, Jason. Okay, good. Okay, my bad. It's Jason. It's Jason. Wow.
I'm wondering here.
Yeah, still have two questions. Still have two questions. Okay, so is it only for React or Angular? Wow.
oh,
It's not. So it's actually true. It's actually true. It's actually true. Okay. Yeah, then I think it's either ZXZ or N. And we head to the last question. Double points, okay? Firebase dynamic link.
True, false, true, true. Logic should work. That's not true, false, true.
Yeah, it's true, it's true. So Sabine, only the first play got merged, right? Okay. Oh, and lose. I think ZXZ win. Sabine saw.
oh.
Who's ZXZ? Damn, congrats. Who is N? Who is N?
Oh, damn.
Year one student. Okay. Okay, congrats. Congrats. Okay, then I think we can head to our dinner time after this. Thank you everyone for today's session. Close the site.
No, go to the slide.
Oh, go to the slides.
What you heard?
Close the
I
slide.
didn't say close.
Okay.
I think I just. There's Q&A lah.
Yeah, I believe no Q&A, everyone is very hungry already. So if you are free, just scan our QR code and send in your feedback. I know there's not many here, so any feedback should be helpful. Thank you.